honorable dignitaries, fellow members of the IEEE fraternity, and all of you present here today, a very good evening to one and all. Welcome to the 74th webinar of our weekly webinar series organized by IEEE Malabar subsection in association with IEEE Malabar Hub. Our topic for today's webinar is artificial intelligence and assistive technology. Artificial intelligence was founded as an academic discipline in 1956 and in the years since has experienced several waves of optimism. Artificial intelligence can be used defined as a branch of computer science that can simulate human intelligence. Artificial intelligence implemented in machines to perform tasks that actually requires human intelligence. When you join this webinar, the fundamental questions that run in your mind right now must be: what is AI or artificial intelligence? Why is AI? How was AI spread over this globe? And to answer all these questions and open your eyes to the amazing world of opportunities of artificial intelligence, we have with us a very honorable and distinguished speaker. It is an absolute privilege for me to introduce Dr. Ligia A., Assistant Professor, Department of CSC, NIT Calicut. She is currently providing services as Assistant Professor. She has authored and co-authored multiple peer-reviewed scientific papers and present works at many national and international conferences. Her contributions have acclaimed recognition from honorable subject experts around this world. She is actively associated with different societies and academics. Reputed and funding. Her research includes informatics, mining, database management systems, artificial intelligence. We all welcome you, madam, for being with us at this occasion. Now, I would like to welcome our respected principal, Dr. Sabik PV, who stands as a backbone of our college and guide all of us. On behalf of all, I welcome you, sir. And also welcome Anudan ma'am and all who have gathered here. Once again, I welcome each and everyone to this webinar. Before starting this session, if you have any queries regarding the topic or related stuffs, you are free to unmute or you can drop your questions at the chat section. Now, I would like to invite respected Ligia ma'am for beginning the session.
Thank you, Nishana.
Okay.
Good evening to one and all of you. And thank you for inviting me for this 74th webinar of this webinar series hosted by IEEE Malabar subsection. I'll share the screen. Is the screen visible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I hope that the screen is also visible, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, like Nishana in the introduction has mentioned about the beginning of AI, and the title of this lecture, I have given the title as AI and assistive technology. So even though AI is there in the title, my focus will be on assistive technologies. But anyway, since it has been mentioned by Nishana, I'll start with a few words on AI. So AI, like it is artificial intelligence. So the term was coined in 1956 by a team of computer scientists and mathematicians that age. And they dreamed a lot and regarding making machines intelligent. So making machine intelligence, like what is meant by that, and what exactly is meant by intelligence. So like there was discussions on all the terms, like what is meant by intelligence, what is meant by artificial intelligence. So is there any natural intelligence? So like there were a lot of discussions and debates on this topic, whether it's possible or not. So the most wonderful thing about that was like our Alan Turing, who was like considered to be the father of computer science, actually predicted all the say requirements and what is possible, and when you can say that a machine had achieved intelligence. Actually, this is known as a Turing test, and surprisingly, even now, like we don't have such machines which can be said to be successfully achieved this target. And another predictions were like, say, by the year 2000 and all, like there will be sufficiently good technology or AI that will be able to like make machines make people, or at least noise people, feel like the other person is a person, like other at the other end it is a person. So and this is up to like a 30% possibility he had predicted this, but we have seen in the recent years, especially after 2000 and all, year 2000 and all, we are seeing a lot of outcomes of AI. So I did not illustrate much on this topic. That is why I didn't include much on AI in this PPT, because you are hearing every day on self-driving cars. You are hearing or you are seeing robots talk. You can have your like different translators in your mobile. You are speaking something in your own language and you are getting it typed as text. So you like Google Assistant is showing you the right path to your destination. So I need not illustrate much on what can be done with AI in this year, because you know it better than me. Like even a small kid may be knowing it better than me. Like what are the applications of AI in the daily life? So my focus is on assistive technology in this lecture, how AI can be extended or used for assistive technology. So for that, I'll be just mentioning on like what is an assistive technology. So assistive technology is any service, software or product that assists a person with a disability or elderly to improve the quality of their life. Okay. So it may be a walking stick, or it may be a text to speech converter, or it may be a hearing aid, or it can be a wheelchair, or your text to speech to text tool, which helps them write something, or the tool that makes a person who is disabled or partially disabled to navigate. So all these are examples of assistive technology. So I said that even a walking stick can be called as an assistive technology. So what exactly is AI doing there? So here in this itself, diagram itself, you can find a lot of applications of AI. So what is AI? Like when you talk about artificial intelligence, it is about machines making as intelligence as human beings are, at least as intelligent as human beings are. So in that case, you can say that it should be able to talk, it should be able to understand speech, it should be able to have a meaningful discussion, or it should be able to say do all the tasks that is done by us. It should be able to plan, learn new things. So the machine that is as intelligent as an human being should be able to do all these tasks as done by a human being. So like if all these capabilities can be achieved by a machine, like some of them can be used for assisting the persons who are disabled. So we can see that like all these branches, like you can see like NLP, computer vision, natural language processing, computer vision, then multi-agent systems, uh, uh, like all these speech processing. So all these are comes under the umbrella of AI, like machine learning, and all these come under the umbrella of AI. So all these has applications in other fields also. So we'll see today like how this techniques that has been developed under AI can be used to assist people who are disabled or differently abled in a more appropriate way. So assistive technology helps people who have difficulty in speaking, typing, writing, remembering, pointing, seeing, hearing, learning, walking, driving, and many more tasks. So I have just included some of the pictures of some persons who have achieved great heights, even though they are differently abled. So like I need not mention much about Stephen Hawking. And you know that like most of or 90% of his body parts are not functioning properly. So like he has, you might, so you should look at the chair he is sitting on. So this is nothing but an assistive technology that enables him to speak and move and do much more. And the other persons whom I have included in this is like one is Beno Sefine, India's first blind IFS officer, and IAS first rank holder Ira Singhar, who is differently able. So like achieving your target, like for achieving your target, disability is not a problem. Only what they need is support. And with technology, so all of you are engineers and you can do a lot in making this possible. So it is not just for people who are differently able, like with aging or some other issues, even other persons will be having some difficulties. For example, your father or mother may be finding it really difficult to read the newspaper as they are getting old. So if you are training them to use a proper software that is able to read it out for them, so you may not be able to find time for doing this task. So you can have a software for doing this. Or if you are a very good electronics engineer, so you can have like using proper technology, tools for navigation, support, and assistance to all your daily tasks also. So as a case study, like this is just a uh, uh, slide taken from the net. So you can just see about the how assistive technology helped Dr. Stephen Hawking communicate. So both hardware and software assistive technology used to compensate for mobility and speech difficulties. Thumb switch and a blink switch attached to his glasses to control his computer. So just with the eye blink, he is able to control his machine. So by squeezing his cheek muscles and blinking, an infrared switch is activated and he is able to scan and select characters on the screen in order to compose speeches, surf the internet, send email, and speak through a voice synthesizer. So you can see how powerful is AI and how it can be used for assistive technology. So this is not just a result of AI. You are seeing like a lot of like support other fields also. There is electronics, there is mechanics, or like in a more better way, like robotics is there. So some examples of applications of like assistive technology in various fields is shown here. So it can be both hardware as well as software support. So it may or may not use like computer vision, ML, or generally AI techniques. So again, I like some more like in this diagram, you can see a lady like who's not able to move her body, like controlling a device using maybe eye gaze or facial muscle movement, expressions, etc. So now everything like that is possible. Like you might have played games that is uh, controlled using hand gestures. So there are your household devices that can be controlled your hand gestures. So just like that, we can use our emotions, facial expressions, or even muscle movements, hand gestures, your audio signals. So anything can like that can be used to control these devices. So like this is just a slide on Braille. So I divided this lecture into different types of assistive technology, particularly used for different types of disabilities. So it starts with the visually impaired, and it includes the people who cannot speak, and there are cases of persons who are bedridden. I have divided it into these different categories. So this is mainly based upon our work in related areas. So we'll start with assistive technology for blind or visually impaired. So you can see the data here, like 217 million people suffer from visual impairment and 36 million from blindness. And over the last 70 years, researchers have worked on various prototypes of electrical obstacle detection devices for visually impaired people, and these are known as electronic travel aids. Okay. And another terminology is sensory substitution devices. So sensory substitution refers to the capability of the brain to assimilate information belonging to one specific sensory channel through another. So Braille alphabet, I'm not going to spend much time on this slide. So you can see here, like Braille is composed of just 6 dots. Like for each of the letters, there is a pattern, and the person who is not able to see or blind is touching on these patterns to identify the letter. And this technology has helped a lot of blind persons to learn. So you can see, like as a sample, like the Braille letters for the Malayalam language. So now a lot of audio textbooks are available, and similarly software support is there for many of the tasks, and most of the blind people who are educated are using them very successful manner. So another terminology related to this is haptic technology. Haptic technology is also known as kinesthetic communication or 3D touch. It refers to any technology that can create an experience of touch by applying forces, vibrations, or motions to the user. So the person who cannot see actually is able to experience the content used any of this form, signals produced in any of this form. It may be a vibration or a motion or a force. So a change in that gives a feeling of what the content is. For example, like when the value is more, the vibrations will be more, and like that. So this is an early development in this field. So here a list of assistive technology that is developed using computer vision techniques. So as I already mentioned, computer vision is also a part of AI. So speech processing, language processing, vision, all comes under the umbrella of AI only. So here you can see providing reading assistance, as I already mentioned, can be done in many different languages. Then navigation assistance, object recognition, identifying people or emotions, scene understanding and description, device control assistance, currency usage and money transaction, identifying the color. So like there are a lot of application using computer vision for visually impaired, because what they lack is vision. So we can provide it. So say understanding a scene and providing a description for that. So there are many even mobile apps that is able to do this. So you might have seen some of them. So they are actually generating reasonably good descriptions also. So this actually is possible due to the recent development that has happened in the field of deep learning. So in deep learning, actually, there is a lot of development that happened in the recent years. This was possible mainly due to the development in the hardware, like in using GPUs and all. So many of the say big giants like Google, Microsoft and all are working on this, and they are giving pretty good deep learning models that is useful in object recognition, which is trained using millions of images. And using this models, even a child can build their own speech recognition system or say object recognition system in a very successful manner. Whereas some 20 years back or 10 years back, the situation was not like that. For building a good computer vision system or NLP system, you need to have a very good understanding of the domain, as well as you need to have very good programming skills and all. Now, just by training these deep models, like this has become a sort of anybody can do it. So there is you can even use a pre-trained model for many of these tasks. So if you have a will to do something, like everything is available for you, and you can build your own apps, mobile apps, that is able to do some of the tasks that I am going to mention today. So as listed here, like reading and typing assistance, like it may be a text to speech, image and graphic description, chart image understanding. So text to speech, like there are a lot of applications available even earlier, like basically made using neural networks. So even in your Adobe Acrobat Reader, even in earlier versions, this function was available. But for regional languages also, this has to be developed. Some tools are available now, but something with better accuracy can be produced. So, but regarding images and graphic description, the situation is not so simple, especially like I mentioned that like object recognition is being done in a very successful manner. But that is not the situation about chart image understanding or any other illustrations. So there are techniques like content-based image retrieval and all. But when the content is related to some scientific data or a flow chart, etc., like we don't have say good applications that is able to read it out or describe the content to a blind user. So it need not be only for the blind user that you can do it. Somebody who is not educated or who cannot understand that particular say language or and all, this can be used. For example, the application will be trying to read out the content or trying to produce a description of the image over there. So one thing that is being done nowadays is like you might have seen option for adding alt text whenever you are inserting an image into maybe your PowerPoint. It may be asking for alt text. So try to include an alt text, which is just a description of the figure that you are inserting. The purpose is just to read it out for those who can't see. So whenever you are generating a content, if you are doing it like that, is going to be a great help for somebody who cannot see the content that you are developing. So that is a simple way of doing it. But how much description you can add, there is a again a question. And another thing is like that is for newly generated content, where there are contents that is uh, textbooks and manuscripts that has been generated for thousands of years. So for extracting the content from and understanding the content from all these things, like we need to have other techniques. So another similar approach is like typing assistant. This also I already mentioned. And you have good applications that is able to do, especially in English, and even in other Indian regional languages and Malayalam and all, like Malayalam and all, we are seeing such applications. Your Android mobile, like you have that in your Android mobile. So these are some of the examples of different available tools, and the corresponding platform. It may be available in Windows, Linux. It may be suitable for all OS and all. So the main purpose is reading out the content. So other products are like glasses for visual assistance. If a person can have a glass, like Microsoft has developed such a glass that is able to recognize the objects in front of it and can give a description on that. Like that is going to be a wonderful assistant for a blind person. Then there are intelligent camera apps, e-reader for the blind, and Roshni is a currency recognition app developed by IIT Roper. So these are some of the applications that is available, but we can say that there is a lot of research gap, and not very good products are available. So still there is a scope in research in these areas. So this is, I just included some, like contents related to how these techniques are being, what is the actual working principle behind these uh, techniques. So for example, we can consider a text OCR, that is optical character recognition system. So here, like, we have an image acquisition module, then it may be your camera or your scanner. So it extracts the content, it extracts the content as an image. Then we may need some pre-processing stages like noise removal, image binarization, morphological techniques and all. That is for, like, for example, when you are scanning a document, you might have seen a lot of dark lines and other noise in it. So removing that may be a prerequisite for further processing. Then we have to segment the images as lines, words, characters, and all. Then feature extraction, there were so many traditional techniques like chain coding, then detecting the edges, borders, corners, like that histogram of orient, HOG and all. Now, like, the most successful approach is building a CNN model, as I already explained. That is a deep learning model. So CNN stands for a convolutional neural network. So there are pre-trained models like that. So train it and execute it. So, or you can use a pre-trained model. Either you can use a pre-trained model or you can train your own model. So there are many successful models like PyTestRact and all. So in that, you may need to apply some post-processing depending upon your problem. Then, like, text document. So input is a document image and output is the corresponding text document. So this is just a model of the architecture of the YOLO network, which is used for detecting the text region. So some other approaches for doing the same is, like, we can have projections of like horizontal and vertical projections of the characters, and based on that we can recognize the text region. So you just need to understand that in a document there will be text region, there can be images and other contents like block diagrams, charts and all, or tables can be there. So this text content has to be identified and separated. Then words has to be separated from that, letters has to be separated, like that. So this is a large problem. So, but with again, as already mentioned, with the developments in deep learning, the task has become much easier. So this is a model like convolutional recurrent neural network model that is successfully being used for this task. So you can see, like, convolution layers. So in this image, you can see convolution layers here are used for feature extraction. So it actually developed convolutional feature maps. Then there is another type of model that is not a recurrent neural network. So there are recurrent layers. So here an example is shown as an LSTM, that is for label prediction for each frame. Then translate the per frame label prediction to final label sequence. And for this, a transcription layer is used. So this is just a general architecture of the same. So this is one example of our work. And before that, I'll mention that even though good OCRs are there, like PyTestRact and all, like when the image size is too small and the resolution of the text is small, etc., they are not very successful. So there is still scope for improvement in this particular domain. Another type of problem is like in regional languages. So this is one application that we have developed. This was an MTech project done by Himanshu Tiwari, our MTech student. So here you can see that different stages like text segmentation, like converting into binary image, then like these characters are separated. Then say for each of the words, uh, a word is predicted, and based on the context, like here you can see that in the last diagram you can see jinko he chul, so there is a confusion about that word. So using a dictionary, it is actually giving different options for the word, like that. So this is for OCR, that is reading out the content, text to speech application. So as I already mentioned, the challenges are small text detection, OCR for developing OCR for regional languages, and text may contain words from multiple languages and combination of languages. So this is one of the biggest challenges that comes mainly when we are using OSNs, that is online social networks, like in a WhatsApp chat or a post, a Facebook post, we may be using mixing up of languages. There may be Malayalam, English, and so many things. Like the words may be written in English, but the content may be like in other language. The reverse is also possible, and there may be like words from multiple languages. Another biggest challenges is now in text, what is written is not complete. Like people used to write like small notations, like if the word is you, like only the letter u will be used, like that. So all these are actually challenges in this domain. So we have to go for multiple say pre-processing stages or post-processing stages to overcome many such issues. So this is another earlier I mentioned about OCR. Now this is about understanding chart images. So it may be a bar graph or a pie chart, or so many different types of chart images are available now. But reading out the chart content is not so easy, because we have to understand so many information. So there is text recognition is required there also, but the text will be very small in size. Then we have to identify which is the say bars, or for example in case of a bar graph, bars for each particular value, and its corresponding y value has to be interpreted. So in giving a proper interpretation or answering a question based on the chart image is another challenge. So there are different approaches to this. Like you can see, like one is based on modality, whether they are using a haptic device, audio, or a combination of both. So I have already mentioned what it's meant by haptic device. Then there is a traditional based approaches, like uh, connected component analysis, detecting the lines and circles using Hopf transform, etc. So that is the traditional approaches, and using basic machine learning approaches. And other is, as I mentioned, it is deep learning approaches. We have seen examples like we have seen YOLO network and CRNN network and all. So this is also illustrating the same thing, but you can see like different domains in which this particular chart image recognition can be useful. The first one is assistive technology, then visual question answering. So there can be that is a domain where an input to the system will be an image as well as a question, and the expected output is the answer of that question based on that input image. Then so in search engines, this can be useful, document summarization, scene description. So this is again an area where like this is not just useful for assistive technology, but in other domains also this can be useful. So this is just a system that is able to recognize or do chart image question answering. But please note that this is a very basic system, and this cannot be used for answering complicated questions. So you can see that input to the system is this chart image and a question. Question is, what is the average percentage of imports from different countries in Thailand per year? And the answer is also given as the output. So in this, you can see like the first, like they have used a marker CNN for say identifying the bars, then optical character recognition used for extracting the text in that. Then this information has been converted to like tables, and then question understanding is there. Then the question answers is given based on a pre-trained model, the bus, that is able to that can be used for table question answering. That is question answering based on the contents of a table. So another application, again, this is also for the blind, is object recognition, obstacle detection and warning, depth sensing, indoor and outdoor navigation, on-road navigation. So the title I forgot to mention, it is navigation. Of course, you can see it. So here, like navigation, it is not just based on the Google map, like how we use it. For the person who cannot see like both indoors and outdoors, they need systems for that. Even in indoor, like if the place is not familiar to them, or there is some rearrangement of furnitures at home, persons will find it difficult to navigate inside the house. Similarly, outdoor, the challenges are more. There may be, there may be pits, there may be steps. So all this first, like based on the topology of the topography of the area, like there are different challenges. Then, they need to identify the road, how to cross the road. Like the challenges are so much. So a very good system that is able to navigate is actually very useful. Then one of the biggest challenges is actually depth sensing. So like people are using, say there is a dog as an assistant, a trained dog as for assistance, or they may be using a stick for assistant, and or some people used to walk with the assistance of others. So you can see like here the input is a scene image, like scene or some image. Then in addition to that, we can use some other sensor data which can be useful for depth analysis. So how we are actually analyzing the depth? We have stereo vision. So we have say vision with two eyes, and using that stereo vision, we are able to estimate the depth. So even though that will not work for a longer distance, like our routine tasks, like we need to sense depth for only a reasonable distance only, right? So for such cases, stereo vision is helping us. So if you have, say you have vision for only one eye, there is a very good chance that you may be estimating the depth of a step or distance in a wrong way. So for this we have stereo vision. So either this can be achieved with stereo vision, or another option is using another sensor data, like it may be an infrared signal, or so if it is a like some or it may be a lidar, like that. So the input like object recognition module, and there will be a depth analysis module. So integrating this, we'll have different types of say assistance for navigation. For example, it can be any wearable like a smart glass, or it may be something like a headset or a smart watch. So these are different examples, or a smart cane even. So there are smart white canes. And how the output can be given to the person. So it may be given as audio signal, like for example, speech output can be there. Yeah, there is a table in front of you, that may be the output message, or it may be a vibration from the stick, like there is danger ahead, or it watch also. Similarly, some sort of signals can be a simple vibration can be there, or it can be an audio signal or a warning message. So all these devices works in different ways. So whatever the way it is working, like there should be an object recognition mechanism as well as a depth analysis mechanism. So this is the general say structure of a navigation system. So you can see that like there may be there should be GPS, RFID, vision, Wi-Fi. So all of this may not be there for like based on your whether it is indoor out or outdoor navigation. Some of them may be useful for indoor navigation, like for example, RFID or Wi-Fi may be useful. And if vision is there, like it can be used for both indoor and as well as outdoor navigation. So that is for smart vision purpose. Then of course there should be an object recognition module. Then output, how the output should be given. So it can be given as a mobile application or a web application, like that. There are different possibilities how you can develop such a system. And this is just a comparison of sensors for obstacle detection. So you can see like the signals, different, it may be ultrasound, LIDAR, radar, or some other, say, visible spectrum, like vision sensors that we are using. So how accurate is, so what are the things that we need to analyze when we develop such a system? So you can see that like the range, how accurate it is, number of obstacles detected, like again a part of accuracy. Then like effect of sunlight, that comes only for this visible spectrum. So effect of rain, night operations, and how costly the device is, whether it is affordable or not. So you can see that, say, vision system are generally good, but in some of the cases, it is not giving good performance. For example, night operations, it won't perform well. So this is image taken from the given paper, which is actually based on indoor navigation system. So it can be a smartphone, like I mentioned that we need an object recognition module. So that part, as well as the output part, that is giving the audio signal, can be done using our smartphone. And like there should be a sensor, like many of the sensors are available in smartphones. So there should be a mechanism for communicating indoor. So it can be like using ultrasound transmitters. So these are some available works. So one is from University of Florida's Drishti project, and other is Tokyo University's project. And another option is giving RFID tags to objects. Then is outdoor navigation. So similarly, the problem is similar, but based on whether it is indoor or outdoor, like the sensors that we are using, like other communication approaches that we are using, etc., will vary. So this is a small system that is that was developed by, again, developed as an MTech project by Sagar. So in the system, we had an object recognition module, and say there was an infrared sensor, and combining these results, it was able to give results like this. For example, this image is given as input. So it is able to recognize the person, bottle, monitor and all. And it was able to generate an audio signal output like this. The obstacle or the person is at 75 centimeters in front of you. So like that, it can generate good description to a person who cannot see. And especially systems that can give an idea about the distance also. For example, there is a person sitting, like whether the person is near or far, or how much distance the person can safely move, etc., can be obtained only if there is a depth sensor. So we are developing computer like stereo vision. That will be a better approach without any additional sensors. But always an usage of an additional sensor may be giving more accuracy to that system. But it may be more costly depending upon what types of sensor you are using, and the range of that also may be a problem. Now, for interacting with the environment, like we need object recognition, identifying the person, understanding emotions and gestures. So this is a more complex problem, right? It is not just about understanding whether it's a table or chair. It is a person sitting, and whether that person is for a friend, you need to understand his emotions and gestures, and the post of like the post estimation, what is going to be the action that is going to be done by that person, the person is going to hit you. So all these things has to be identified. So again, the problem is becoming more complex. So this is about interacting with the environment. Then there may be colors and textures. So for like all this should be, we should be able to understand it, and that should be expressed to the person who is not able to sense this. Then as I already mentioned, it may be a depth estimation. And another thing is actually visual question answering, and I already explained about this problem. Now we'll come to like object recognition. So this is another sample image that is doing this. So I already mentioned about some of the networks. This is another say deep learning network, FastRC in architecture, which is really good in object recognition tasks. So the early network that I have shown, that is YOLO, also does that in a wonderful manner. So when we talk about the history of this, we can see that this development happened only after 2000, mainly after 2008 or 10, even though some of the theories were developed earlier, like sufficient very good architecture hardware were not there. So like the first such very good architecture was the LANet 5, and that has only 5 layers, and that was used for optical character recognition. Then there was AlexNet, which has 8 layers and used for object recognition. Then there were like the number of layers were increased, and with that the accuracy of the system, or the number of objects that can be recognized by the system, also increased. So now we have deep learning networks with hundreds of layers. So this is the architecture of SST, which actually represents single shot detection, which is a very popular model. And this is another project done by our BTech students, and this is recognizing a set of objects that has been trained by them. Their project actually was for, say, automated checkout systems in retail stores. So in that system, they need to identify the person, identify the object, as well as the action. So this is the, say, object recognition part. Then this part is actually for the post estimation. What is the action that person is doing? For example, if the person is on the supermarket, the person is maybe picking up certain objects. So you can see that such a system can be useful for the person who is blind for running a shop or any business, because the person should be able to understand the actions that is being done by the customers and support staff. So here, like you can see, like this particular action will be, one will be say interpreted as standing, and other maybe picking some object like that. So similarly, another problem is, as I already mentioned, it is emotion recognition. So this is depth estimation. And this is by this diagram actually illustrates the epipolar geometry. Like here, what the issue is, like we are trying to see an object, like the left eye as well as the right eye is producing different images of the same object, and these images are being fused by the brain to generate the three-dimensional image. Using that only, actually this task is done by the brain, and only using that we are able to say assess the 3D shape of the object as well as estimate the distance. So the biggest task in this say problem is we need to say rectify these images. That is, this should be represented as well as fused together to form the 3D structure of the image. So this is an example of the visual question answering problem. Like the person should, like if you have a mobile that is able to give you different answers, for example, you can take an image and I can ask whether that person is standing in front of you, or is there an animal in front of you. or is there an obstacle in front of you, such a system is going to be very useful for the visually impaired. Similarly, image description system. So here an image is given, and what the expected output is a statement like a group of people shopping at an outdoor market, or there are many vegetables at the fruit stand. So such a system may be useful for understanding the contents of a book, as well as it may be useful for daily life or environment, interacting with the environment, etc. So this is another problem, like assistive technology for speech and hearing impaired. So here, the task is actually totally different. Like they are not able to perceive the speech signals. So one of the approaches used is like sign language recognition. So they have some hearing aids that is able to help them. So that is the main assistive technology used by them. Now in India, like we have an sign language, like known as Indian Sign Language, and almost all the other countries have their own sign languages, like American Sign Language, Arabic Sign Language, and Malaysian Sign Language, like that. In Indian Sign Language itself, there are many variation to this. So building an automatic system that is able to say understand sign language will help the communication of persons with like who cannot speak or are dumb and deaf to communicate with others, because others will not be knowing the sign language. They usually don't take the effort to learn it until or unless it is a close relative, or it is too necessary to learn it. So in such a cases, like if we have a system that can actually understand the sign language, that will help us communicate with a person who cannot speak. So again, in such systems, there are systems that is glove based or sensor based. So that is wearing a special type of hand glove that has special sensors on it. And when we make the hand movements, the sensors will be able to recognize the hand gestures. Other mechanisms are like using Kinect, like which is a 3D camera for sensing the depth and all. So even with normal, say, cameras, like we can build sign language recognition systems. So there are so many challenges related to this problem. So the input will be usually a video, which is represented using sign language. Then output will be corresponding text or speech signal. So as it is almost the time, I'm not explaining much on speech recognition system. Now others are like devices control using gesture recognition, which is a similar problem. So you can control the devices. This is like even for a bedridden person, they can control the light, fans, and all the other system using just gestures. And we can see AI for elderly, physically challenged, and critically ill. Surveillance and monitoring systems to identify warning or critical situation. For example, we can have AI systems for monitoring small kids and elderly people and all. Like if a person is having a heart attack or a stroke, our system is able to identify it or is able to understand their needs and inform the bystander. That is going to be a really useful system. Sorry. Similarly, computer vision enabled robotic assistance, eye gaze recognition, eye blinking or action recognition for device control or communication. So all these are different types of applications. And for completely bedridden persons, even identifying the brain signals or systems that can recognize their emotions and eye gazes are also available now. But like still research are going on in this domain, and we cannot like we can expect that better systems will be built in the near future, and that systems will be affordable and it will be available to the common man. So since it is almost the time, I'm stopping now. And if you have any questions, you can ask now.
If you have any doubts regarding the session, you are free to unmute or you can drop your queries at the chat session now. Hope you all understood the session. Thank you, ma'am, for your very valuable and informative session. Hope today's session marks the ignition of many passionate volunteers. With this, we have come to an end of our webinar session. Thank you once again to all of you for being a part of our journey. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all.